Burn the only copy of your book you have. That's a great idea. May I just say, this is now the third time I filmed this video, because every time I was just like, that sucks. Here we go. This summer I published this book, Level Up Your Teacher Business, and I'm about to have a new book come out, which I am beyond excited about. And I say about because I don't have it here because it is not quite finished, because I filmed these very far in advance. So hopefully by the time this comes out, it will be in the works, but it is coming out on October 1st, and it is called The Happier Teacher Life. It's all about having a happy, less stressful life as a teacher. When I announced my first book and talked to everybody, I had a lot of questions about the book and how I published it and how I did that, and it made a lot of sense, but I hadn't thought about it before, that a lot of you guys might also want to create your own books. So today we're going to talk about how I actually managed to publish my own book and how I'm publishing the one that's coming out very, very soon, which if this is after October 1st, 2020, I will have a link below. And if it is before, then you'll have to hold your horses. When it comes to writing a book, first you have to decide if you're going to be self-published or if you're going to use a publishing company. I did some research into both of them and I ended up doing self-publishing. The reason I chose that is because I didn't want to deal with having to like convince people that my book was good enough. Honestly, when you do publishing like through a publishing company, what you have to do is you write up a book proposal and you send it to an agent, and the agent has to send it to the publishing companies, and they have to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, you should do it, and then you have to continue working with them, and it's a long process, and honestly I just didn't want to deal with it. So I thought, okay, if I self-publish, then I already know that what I want to say is what I want to say, and I already know I want it to be a book, and there's nothing you people can do to stop me. So I decided to do self-publishing. That's just the route that I chose. It works best for me. So there we go. If you choose that, then you need to decide what self-publisher you want to use. Now, I used Kindle Direct Publisher, which is probably one of the more common ones. And the reason I chose this is for two reasons, really. Because number one, it is an Amazon company, which means that your book's automatically on Amazon. And number two, it's a print on demand. So what that means is when you order a copy of Level Up Your Teacher Business, which will be linked below, the company prints one and sends it to you. They don't print 20,000. I don't have like boxes full of books. It's never gonna be sold out. None of those problems exist because they print on demand. So you demand it and they print it and they send it to you. Easy, easy peasy. I really liked those two things and just kind of the freedom and flexibility that Kindle Direct Publisher allowed me. All right, so when you are going to write your book, the first thing you need to do is actually write the book. So in order to do this, I like to start with an outline so that I have a place to write all my ideas. Part of this is because you're gonna have ideas that maybe don't fit with the place you're in now. And so having a place to write those down is very helpful. I did my outline for this book and for my newer book differently. For my first book, which is actually the second one being published, more on that later. For the book that is about to come out, I used just a notebook, and what I did is just I would open up to 2 pages and I would write at the top the chapter name, and then I would just write any of the ideas that I had. Super simple. For this book, I already had a better idea of how it was going to be organized and things like that. So I just went into Google Docs and I just started writing. So I like wrote down the chapter headings, and then I wrote down any subheadings I could think of, and then I just started writing the body text. And Google Docs is really good for that because you can, like, over on the sidebar, you can click on the different sections and it will automatically take you there, which is just super easy. So after you finish the outline, then you need to actually like write all the words, which I'm not gonna lie, really sucks because it's just a long process and it's not really easy. And yeah, so for the book that is about to come out, it is a lot longer than this one because this book is more of like a workbook to go along with my course. For Happier Teacher Life, it was more of like, I want to write a book. So for that one, I worked backwards. I figured out how many words I wanted. I found that most self-help books had between 50 and 75,000 words. So I broke that down and found out that if I did 3,000 words for about 16 days, then I would have enough words for a book. So that's what I did. I took the month of June in 2019, and every day in the summer I would wake up, I would work out, and I would sit down and I would write for about 2 hours. It sucked. It really did. And so I did usually 4 days a week so that one I could have off, so I didn't want to die. And it ended up being about a month. Now this again was a lot in not a lot of time, because again I did like 2 hours, and that's a lot of writing. So you totally don't have to do that, but this was what worked for me. Once you're finished writing the book, you are going to want to edit the book many times. Now the book that is about to come out, I edited myself twice. I sent it to an editor, and I am currently wrapping up the final edit, and it has to be the final edit because I'm out of time. So that's 4 edits, and I'm still finding things that are not quite right, but at some point you just gotta stop. Now for editing, 2 things that I personally have found really helpful. I am not like an English major or anything. I teach music to elementary students, but some things that I have found helpful are, 1, if you can print out your manuscript and actually like mark it up, that is so much easier to find things that are wrong on a printed copy than on the computer. And number 2, read as much as you can out loud. When you read things out loud, you hear things that you wouldn't see when you're just reading with your eyes in your brain. Sometimes things look okay, but when you actually say them, you're like, ooh, that's a funky word transition, like whatever I just said. So what you want to do is, on Kindle Direct Publisher, they will tell you like how large the page size needs to be and all of those things. Once you figure out the page size and page numbers and those kind of things, you also want to make sure that the pages are lined up the way you want them to, so that, you know, like a new chapter starts on a new page and just stuff like that. That's called formatting. You can also hire someone to format, which is a really good idea if you have the money, because they actually know what they're doing as opposed to random people on the internet. Now the next thing you're gonna wanna do is do some formatting. Formatting is when you actually get the book in the condition that it should be in when it's published. Now how I did this book, if you have purchased a copy and you've noticed how it looks, I had a really particular way that I wanted it to look. So I shouldn't even tell you this, it's so bad. I actually formatted it in PowerPoint. So I wrote all the words in Google Docs, and then I copy and pasted them into PowerPoint so that everything could look exactly how I wanted it to look. Now, do I suggest this? No, I do not. However, I found it really helpful just because I had a picture in my brain of exactly how I wanted it to look, and because I did it in PowerPoint, I was able to maneuver things around and add pictures and add text boxes and change colors of things so that it looked the way I envisioned it in my brain. I'm also really familiar with PowerPoint because I make pretty much all of my teaching resources on there that I sell, and I have like 330 products on Teachers Pay Teachers now. So I've used PowerPoint once or twice. Hey friends, editing Becca here. Sorry about the not so great screen recording, but I was like, oh no, I totally forgot to tell you how to format if you do not do it in ridiculous ways like I do. So formatting just means that you put the book in the actual format that it's going to be published in. So what you need to do is go and check all of your margins. You want to add in your page numbers, and you can get a lot of information about this, especially if you're using Kindle Direct Publisher. They have a lot of the information actually on KDP, so you can check it out there and see like what size your paper needs to be and those sorts of things. Then you want to make sure that all your pages are lined up correctly. So if you want, you know, the new chapter to start in a certain place, then you need to put that onto a separate page, and just going through and entering, adding spaces, colors, titles, fonts that you want so that things just kind of stand out a little bit more, and then save it as a PDF so it's ready to go. Let's get back to the video that looks a lot nicer than this. All right, after you get all of that done, you're going to upload it to Kindle Direct Publisher. So you have to save it as a PDF in order to do this, and upload it to the publisher, and it'll probably tell you that something's wrong, so then you go fix it and upload it and then fix it and upload it, and you might have to go through that quite a few times. With this one, I went through it quite a few times, but finally it'll be good and they will submit it for review. Once it is approved and ready to actually be printed, you want to order yourself a copy so that you can look at it and just double check that everything is correct. Because again, you're gonna see things when it's actually physically in your hand that you didn't see when it was on the computer screen. So check all those formatting, check all the spelling, just make sure everything looks right. And if you can get someone else to check it for you, that's gonna help even more. After that, make any changes that you need, and if you needed to make changes, then re-upload it to Kindle Direct Publisher and wait a few days while it, make sure that everything's all good. Now, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is go through and create all of the descriptions and all the subtitles and all of those things. So this is what is actually on the Amazon listing, if that's the route that you're going, and it tells, what's going to be in your book, why people should buy it, and it's basically your sales page. Why should people purchase your book? If you can send your book to people ahead of time to get some like testimonials or reviews, you can add those in there. Make sure to use keywords so that people searching on Amazon can find it, and just all those good things. And the very last thing you need to do is announce it to the world. People will be very excited, especially people will be very excited to find out that you wrote a book, because that's a pretty big stinking deal. So talk about it and talk about it often. Now, all of your social media posts and talking to people doesn't have to be like, here, buy my book, but it's a really big accomplishment for you. So talk about the process, talk about how you did it, talk about why you did it, talk about just anything that's related to it, and that'll all help bring attention. You want to bring as much attention as you can to your book, especially early on, so you get as many people purchasing it ASAP. So with that in mind, like I said, this book will be linked down below. This is Level Up Your Teacher Business for TPT authors who want to take their business to the next level. My goal with this book and the course associated with it is that you are able to hit the 1,000 mark every month. So this book is designed to take you from wherever you are. I was at $7 to $1,000 a month on Teachers Pay Teachers. My new book is all about self-care for teachers and how to be less stressed, more happy, and all of those things. And because you know how I am, it's very practical and like actionable items that you can actually do, and not just like fluffy whatever. No, we don't do fluffy whatever over here on my channel. We do practical steps. So this is practical steps to have a happier life long term and just be the best teacher you can be, because you're not gonna be a good teacher if you're stressed. So this one will be linked down below, and the new one, when it's available, will be linked down below. It comes out October 1st, 2020. So definitely keep an eye out. And if you want to be notified when that happens, then you can follow me on Instagram. It's at becca.e.davis, which I know is a really obnoxious name. However, that's what happens when your name is Rebecca Davis. So there we go. Blame my parents or my husband, because I guess it's his last name. All right, so you can follow me there, and I will be sure to announce it many, many times when the book comes out, because I've been working on it for a very long time. Thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments you have about self-publishing or publishing in general down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And if there's enough questions or specific things, we can always do another video all about it. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. May I help you? All right, look. You just got